Amelia Island, stretching up the northern east coast of Florida, is the southern neighbor of the Georgia coast and the Carolinas, home of the deeply southern-rooted low country cuisine that has inspired food in this area for decades. Purloo is a classic comfort food dish you want to add to your repertoire. After you roast the duck, it's an easy one-pot meal. I'm Chef Jeannie Pierola. I'm a 5-time James Beard semifinalist and executive chef and owner of several award-winning restaurant concepts. Now I want to share some simple cooking techniques that will make you a better home cook and walk you through some delicious recipes that are sure to impress. This is Flavored by Flame. I have a killer dish today that I want to prepare for you. Maybe many of you know about a cuisine called low country cuisine. It's a cuisine that sprung from the coast of Georgia and the Carolinas, and it's a whole movement about the southern and regional and indigenous ingredients to that whole area. And it has absolutely leaked into Florida. Once you get your kind of ingredients together, it becomes a one-pot dish. But because I'm a chef and I do things a little harder, we're going to start with a roast duck. So here is a completely thawed duck, just simple boiling water. And what we do is we pour boiling water over the duck, and you'll start to see that the skin will start to shrink a little. And what that enables the duck to do is roast more evenly. While you're doing this, after you get done, you want to make sure that you take the bird and kind of lift it and pour the water out of it that's coming out of it, so that you don't have a full duck. You want all the water removed from the duck, just like that. And then we're going to discard the water and pop this baby in the oven. But before we do that, the next step, after we've got the skin to start shrinking, is we make holes all over it with a fork. And again, these holes will create the ability for the fat to render out. I'm going to come and very liberally season it all over. This is kosher salt. And I even want to season the other side. Then the obligatory pepper melt. You want to crack pepper all over this duck as well. And because this flavor profile is coming from the South, from low country cuisine, we take a little bit of paprika and we sprinkle paprika all over it. And this helps actually flavor it and as well develop really great color. So I've discarded my water that I used to tighten the skin, the boiling water, and now I'm going to place it in the oven. So our duck is roasted. And what we want to do is get the meat ready for the dish we're cooking, which is purloo. We're making a duck and andouille purloo. We want to remove the skin because the skin is a big part of the garnish. So I'm going to just attempt to remove a sheet of the skin and peel it back. Now you may ask, why am I doing this? Because this is going to be the amazing garnish. And we just want a julienne, which is to cut the skin in thin strips, which is the julienne cut. Once you've completed julienning the skin, you just want to pick it up, kind of spread it out, pop it back in the oven because you're looking for a bacon texture. That'll be ready shortly. In the meantime, I'm going to shred this duck. So I've shredded my duck. It looks awesome. My julienne skin is still in the oven, rendering down, turning into crispy skin bits to make this texturally awesome. And now we're going to build the purloo. We start off with a little olive oil in a preheated pan. Again, I just pop this on to medium-high heat. It's already smoking hot. Only with gas. It's the only way you can cook if you want to have efficient, wonderful cooking like a chef. So into the pan, we have andouille sausage. Everything is substitutable in cooking. That's what makes cooking so fun. You can interchange all kinds of things. If you don't like andouille sausage, you can use Italian sausage. It does change the flavor profile, but you can really adapt these dishes and take it to the direction that you would be most pleased with. Into the pan, a little bit of andouille. We hit this with a little bit of crushed chili flake. We want to get that fat rendering out of that andouille, and that's how you begin to build the base and what starts to develop the flavor. Once I have all the fat rendering out and the sausage is nice and seared, just some Brunoise, the smallest cut, white onion. When you're cooking and you're sweating down some onion, you really want to wait till you get it a little translucent to add your garlic. That really creates the field for the garlic to scent and emanate across the onion. 3 to 4 cloves of garlic into the onion. And this is how you begin to build the base. Next, red and yellow bell peppers, Brunoise as well. When we're making something like a purloo, which is also kind of like a jambalaya, all these kind of dishes that you're going to finish, put on a plate, and that's the finished eating, you want to cut things uniform. You want them all to match in a dish. That's why both the peppers and the onions are Brunoise cut. Now, just to juke this up a little bit, because we like a little spice, we add a little bit of Scotch bonnet. And what's great about Scotch bonnet, I know everybody knows it's really spicy, but it also has a citrus element. It has a tonal element that's different than other chili peppers. So it brings a little bit more to the party than just heat. So, obviously, our shredded duck is ready to go into the pan, and we want to get that all incorporated. We want that duck meat to start picking up all those flavors that we're building. You know what's great about this dish is once you've roasted that duck, of course you can substitute any kind of proteins. You can do it with chicken, you can do it with pork, you can do it with seafood. But once you've done that step, that's the hardest step. Everything else is just a one-pot wonder, and you serve it right from the stovetop. Such a super easy dish that is so soul satisfying. Once I have the duck really absorbing all that flavor, that's when I'm going to bring some shiitake mushrooms to the party. And we've julienne these as well. So the duck skin gets julienne, the shiitakes get julienne. Shiitakes are very tender mushrooms, and they bring a real rich earthiness to the dish. And again, we want to get this all incorporated in the flavor as well. So I'll season that with some salt, some fresh cracked pepper, the combination of duck fat and andouille fat is a little intoxicating, I have to tell you. It's really, really awesome. Once we get everything kind of swimming together, we're going to bring this Carolina Gold rice. Now you can use any long grain rice. I use Carolina Gold rice because it's from that low country cuisine, and it makes me feel like I'm paying homage to the people who actually created this food. And that's kind of fun for me. So now you want to stir the rice all the way through. It too needs to kind of roast. You want it to kind of like crisp a little bit and get all that flavor up. Roughly 2 cups of rice. We're going to add some wine, probably about a 1/4 cup of wine. It's probably a 1/4 cup. Dry white wine. You actually could use beer. You could use tequila. Here we have chicken stock. You can use vegetable stock. You can use water. So after I brought this to a boil, I lower it because I want to simmer the rice slowly. I finish it with parsley. I stir everything together. And what's awesome about gas is the minute you lower it, it lowers the flame and it drops it. Can't do that with electricity because the burner is still losing its heat. Here, you drop it, it drops it to a simmer, and you end up with a perfectly cooked dish. I use a lid because you're always supposed to cover rice when you cook it. It actually holds all the moisture in, so that as your rice hydrates and cooks through, it'll still be moist and delicious. So we're 20 minutes away from seeing that happen. It's been cooking about 22 minutes now. And what you're looking for is fluffy rice that's cooked through. You certainly want to taste it to make sure, and you want to taste it to check for your seasonings. I can tell the rice is super tender. I'm going to let it finish while I pull my crispy duck skin out of the oven. You can see it's perfectly crisp, just like bacon. We're going to season it a little bit because even this needs to be seasoned. Turn off our burner, and we're going to let our purloo sit because then everything will just combine. We're going to put in a little chive, a little more parsley. Again, I've turned the burner off. I'm going to stir these herbs through. And I'm going to let it sit and kind of collect itself for a second. I just like those herbs to sit for a few seconds and just get into what they're doing. Now you can tell the rice is super fluffy. Want to make sure you get plenty of andouille and shiitakes. We're going to finish a little bit of chive, a little bit of parsley, and of course, the garnish. I just finished it with the crispy duck skin. I hope you'll try this dish. I hope you'll try to roast a duck. It's a killer thing to add to your repertoire. And of course, so is a purloo, which you can use and interchange anything in. But this duck and andouille purloo, I promise it'll blow you away. It's so delicious. Enjoy. For more information about energy-efficient natural gas and available appliance rebates, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.